what happens when you sleep and how important that is. So we'll get into that. I wanted to first talk a little bit about something that had come across my desk that I thought I would add to this challenge. Hold on, let me let Marion in. To this challenge that I thought would be a fun addition. So, as you know, the holidays are coming up, and I guess Macy's does something to where they, long story short, I have someone who works with Macy's who is trying to do a promotion for activewear for the holidays. And so they have people that are live that do like classes and stuff like that in the space. I haven't seen the space yet or anything. All that I know is that they need different people to do it, like rotate out each week. And they're asking us to do it like the first or the second week in December. And so there are different perks and everything that come with that, as far as getting discounts on like activewear, obviously. And then Macy's bucks or something. I don't know. I don't shop at Macy's, but so I'm trying to, or I was thinking of adding that as a bonus to the end of this challenge. So at the end of the challenge, whoever wins is supposed to get coaching throughout the rest of the year. What I thought I would add on was the opportunity to, well, opportunity if you're willing to utilize yourself as a marketing sort of tool, if you will, for the post challenge going into the Macy's event. So then we would supply you with an outfit of your choice, whatever it is that you want. So it could like up your workout gear game. But then also it would be an intensive from November. This challenge ends November 2nd. It would start November 3rd and go through December 7th or 14th, depending on when we would be doing the event in December. So it'd be like a 30-ish day intensive. So the coaching would still be there. It would be, but it would be preparing you for that in particular after the challenge. With that being said, because I'm sure that I'll have additional detail as we go along. I'm wanting to put the dates out there though, because I know that when we get into the holidays, everybody gets really busy. And so with holiday parties and all that, I know sometimes that's really hard. But it's either going to be the first or the second Saturday in December. And it's just an hour. It's a class, regardless of if you're a winner of the this the 8-week thing or not. We're still doing that, and we're still doing it as a class. So I still need participants. So if you're wanting to just participate, even if you don't win, or if you do win and you want to participate, that's open. And then the discount will be available for everyone that's on in the group. So any questions? And let me let Sherry in. Any questions so far? If I don't know the answer yet, I'll let you know. But right now, that's just preliminary. So we're trying to get everything set up. It'll probably be like a boot camp type style, maybe with some yoga stuff. No questions, nothing? Any feedback? You're like, Phoenix, that sucks. Phoenix, what the hell are you talking about? Give me some feedback.
I love it.
I love it too.
Okay, great.
It sounds exciting, but what is the actual event? And maybe I missed that one.
So what they do is it's like a promotion. It's to help with selling their active wear during the holiday season. So they have different groups that come in that do different classes, like on the floor, from my understanding. I haven't seen the space yet. So I'm supposed to meet with the director hopefully soon so that I can see the space and what that looks like and how many people would actually fit in it. So we could promote like the business, of course. And of course, that brings in people while we're there to also get into that area and shop in an area that they probably wouldn't normally shop in December, you know, but maybe so, you know, to prepare for the new year, right? New year and all of the working out that you're gonna do, but we'll be doing it already. So then, and then plus you have the opportunity, like I said, to get a discount on at whatever rate that it is that they're offering. I don't have those details yet, but I'll have that soon and then I can pass it on to everybody. But it'll be one of those, if you were to say, oh, you know, I'm gonna win this challenge and my preference is going to be the first or the second. Do we have preferences on the first or the second week of December? It's either the 7th or the 14th.
First week,
That's what
actually second week, sorry. My son's birthday's on the 7th.
oh, that's kind of important.
Yeah.
I'm glad you remember that.
Mine would be the second.
Okay.
I'm free either one, so it doesn't matter to me.
First week for me because my son's birthday's on the second week of December.
Oh, okay. How did y'all work that out?
It'll be the first week for
Feel
me.
like
First or second works, but I go on vacation that weekend, the 14th or the 15th.
So either one will work? Is that what you're saying, Martine?
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Issa?
he was trying to steal the spotlight with my nephew.
Whatever.
Okay, so it's looking like probably the second. But nothing, like I said, nothing is solidified yet. So once I have more details on that, then I'll supply that as we go. But thank you for your feedback on that. I'll have more at our next meeting.
Is that the second weekend though?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I leave the Sunday, so
Yeah, it'll be
I'll
that Saturday.
Okay. All right.
Okay, enough about that. Let's see. So this past week, everyone was supposed to implement some sort of a sleep regimen. So what I'd like to hear is what you did. Just give us a quick rundown of what it was that you implemented and then if it worked. Anyone can start.
I was drinking more tea and no television. I was reading more. Tea, no television, and read a book before bed, which helped a lot.
Okay, good.
I kept my phone on the charger away from my side of the bed, so it didn't distract me, and it definitely helped as well.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. I'm gonna call on somebody.
So I didn't do well at all because on Sunday night into Monday after our meeting, I was at the hospital with my brother till 3 a.m. So that threw my entire week off. My brother's fine. I took him
I took him
home.
home.
Everything's okay.
Everything's okay.
But so I did try to make sure I at least got in the bed earlier every night. And I did try to make sure that if I had something else I had to do in the afternoon, that I like went home, kind of rested, like kind of took it down a little bit. But I was totally thrown off when I was actually, as we were ending our meeting, I was on my way to hospital.
Oh, okay.
So I threw everything off for my entire week. My meals were off, like everything was off.
I try to get into bed a little earlier too. Like, let's say my goal is to be sleeping by 10. I try to get into bed by 9, even if I'm just there, and that helps me also.
I only accomplished this thing one day, so no, no tricks to give you guys.
Okay. How about you, Narissa? Anything? Narissa? How about you?
Put in the chat.
Oh. Trying to be initial? It was a struggle. I don't think I understand. Okay. Marion, did you have anything that helped you?
Nothing productive to add. I didn't have I didn't get to implement anything differently.
Well, in doing this exercise, what did you all notice that you did do before you went to sleep? Prior to you trying to think of things, trying to change it up.
I was always scrolling on social media.
Okay. What else?
I typically just get really anxious about the next day in general. So I have like a bunch of different tricks that I try to use that help me, like a weighted eye mask, the sleep meditation. The sleep meditation usually always does the trick. But I feel like the earlier I get into bed, I'll still be anxious, but I don't know. Maybe I have more time to be anxious before falling asleep. I'm not really sure.
Okay, thank you for that.
So I know for me, I think I always have noise on, so I always have the TV on, and I think it's become like just what it's become. What's the word I'm looking for? Just what I do. That's not the word I'm looking for, but almost like rote. Like I do it unconsciously. I just turn it. I come in, I turn the TV on. I don't even think about it. I am trying to also learn French, so I do play with Duolingo at night. But I'm realizing that I probably need to try to do that earlier, and I need to do a better job of scheduling my evenings. But it's definitely the noise for me is definitely a thing. So that's what I'm trying to deal with. I'm trying to like not turn the TV on, not do these kind of things. But that's what I do when I get home. I immediately get home and turn on the TV.
Okay. Okay, so we have a lot of scrolling and needing noise and TV watching. Anything else? Okay, so I just wanted to rattle off a couple of things, right? When I suggested, so this was just something that's easy to remember with the 3-2-1 sort of thing. And it is really just to kind of bring your body down to where it should be easier for you to sleep. The more that you do prior to, and you're saying all of these different things, the more that you do prior to trying to go to sleep, or these different things that you're doing that are supposed to help you sleep, typically aren't going to shut your brain down for you to sleep. So there are certain things that your body is looking for, like within your environment. The blue light especially is something that triggers your body to stay awake. So the less light that you have and the less light that you're exposed to, the more likely you are to naturally go to sleep, ideally. Sometimes we think, okay, well then if I do these different things, then it'll make me drowsy, and that's not the case. It still keeps your brain active. So the 3 hours prior, of course, is the food. Aside from making sure that you're properly digesting your food, that is something else that can keep your body awake. Your body has to be functioning for it to do that. It's expending energy. So if it's expending energy in that way, you're not able to sleep. The 2 hours prior for liquids is so that you're not having to get up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom. So planning for that ahead of time helps you so that you're not, so it's not interrupting your sleep. And then that last hour again is turning off your TV, turning off all noise, trying to bring down the light that's in your room so that your body feels like it is coming down. And night or less light is supposed to be a signal of that. I was going to read, so the information I have on sleep, it's essential for good health and well-being, and it affects all of your systems, your brain function, your physical function, your mental health, your immune system. When you have sleep deprivation, it causes issues with making decisions, problem solving, controlling your emotions. It can cause depression, headaches, loss of focus, overeating, undereating, and this was an interesting thing that I read. So a chronic pattern of sleep duration of less than 6 hours a night has been associated with a higher body mass index. So lab studies have consistently demonstrated that short sleep duration is a significant risk factor for weight gain and obesity, especially in African Americans and men, contributing to poor health outcomes. Restricting sleep for up to 5 days can lead to a short-term weight gain. So why do you think that if you don't have enough sleep, this can cause you to gain weight? Any guesses, or does anyone know?
Is it just how your body processes um processes things? So having enough time to digest food, having enough time to, I don't know, repair your cells, just to do what it needs to do. And the sleep we get lets it reset and do those things. So if you shortchange it, it doesn't get an opportunity to do that at the right time, at the time that it's supposed to.
Right. That is part of it. That's very good. And that's a big part of it. Anyone else have any sort of contribution or have an idea?
Recovery, you need to sleep because your body needs to recover, and also like stress. Without sleep, you have like high cortisone levels.
Right. So she brought up cortisone. Thank you for that. We'll come back to that. Anybody else? So first off, who on this call gets, oh, none of you are on your, so you can do the thing, right, that raises your hand. How many of you get more than 6 hours of sleep? Do you really, Tiffany?
Yeah,
I do.
I do. I make sure to, like, right after this call, I'm going to bed because I gotta wake up at 5 a.m. So I'm on a sleep schedule because I work 12-hour days. And if I don't sleep, those 12 hours, they're gonna be a rough time for me.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll come back to that too. Set cortisol. Okay, good. So I saw 2 other hands. So I was expecting the opposite. How many people then don't get at least 6 hours? How many people don't get at least 6 hours of sleep?
It depends for me. So I range anywhere between 5 and 7, but I can't necessarily say that it's always 6. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's not always 5, but it's definitely not 7. So it's somewhere in between. And I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom all the time. So that always I'm always interrupted in that way.
Okay.
For me, it's between 4.5 hours and 6. Maybe I'll get 6.5. That's maybe on a Saturday.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so then Tiffany had brought up cortisol, which I'm sure that everyone has heard of it. Who doesn't know what this is? It's a stress hormone. A stress hormone that is produced when you have too much stress. Now, we have the conversation about good and bad stress, right? Because what is it that we do within this program that causes cortisol levels to go up?
Exercise.
Exactly. So when we work out, we increase our cortisol levels. When our hormones or our cortisol levels are all out of whack, we'll hold on to the cortisol instead of expending it or instead of releasing it the way that we need to. We produce cortisol to help us manage stress. But then if we're just consistently putting our body under stress, then we don't get rid of it. So it deregulates our system. The other thing that happens when we sleep, there are 2 hormones that are produced that help us with regulating whether or not we're hungry. One is called leptin, and the other, I always pronounce it incorrectly. Now I can't find it. It starts with a G. Ghrelin. It's either ghrelin or ghrelin. Grelin. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone, and leptin helps to indicate when you are satisfied or when you've had enough. So then what happens with the leptin, for instance, is if your leptin decreases, then your brain thinks that your body is at a deficit and it triggers starvation. So then it increases your hunger and decreases your energy expenditure. So if it's increasing your hunger, making you feel like you're hungry, but then reducing your energy expenditure, what does that sound like? What's happening?
Starvation.
And so, yeah, so it's during starvation. What happens to your system? It's something that we talk about all the time as far as what we're trying to increase.
Well, doesn't your body start to shut down to conserve energy
Right.
and only keep like the vital things going?
And then, so what's slowing down when that happens? Starts with an M.
Metabolism.
Yes.
Right.
Right. So that is what it is that we're trying to increase, right? So then it slows your metabolism down. So a lot of what it is that you all have said is very relevant to what we're talking about. When you don't get enough sleep, then it makes your body think that it needs to slow down or it doesn't have enough time to recover, as Tiffany had said, right? So then when it doesn't have enough time to do those things, then you're not properly burning fat throughout the day. And then you're also, oh, I just lost my thought. Shoot, hopefully it'll come back to me. But so it's your hunger hormone, your satisfied, your leptin hormone, and then your cortisol levels are all different things that can fluctuate throughout the night. There are different things that tests that I've witnessed, like with other clients who test like their sex hormones, like cortisol is part of that list. And what I've noticed is when your cortisol levels are higher, like in the evenings, that's typically when you have a harder time sleeping. And sometimes when people do like intermittent fasting, their cortisol levels are flipped. So then talking about intermittent fasting, when do you feel that intermittent fasting would be an ideal situation for someone? What type of a schedule would an intermittent fast be more appropriate for?
8-hour window. And you fast 16 hours and then you eat between the hours of, let's say, noon and 8.
Okay, well, so, and in that, how do you determine what those windows look like?
Depending on what time you go to bed.
Okay, so then can we just change it up depending on what time we go to bed?
Yeah.
Or it can be when you go to bed or from your last meal of the day. So like if you eat at, if you're gonna fast, if you're gonna eat your meal at 7 o'clock, like 7 o'clock at 7 to 8 is like your cutoff to like eat your last meal. Then you would start fasting from like 8 p.m. at night all the way to noon.
Okay,
But are you also saying because of your metabolism or something about flipping it where maybe ideally you should be fasting when you're awake versus when you're sleeping?
Isn't it easier to fast while you're sleeping and continue once you wake up?
it's definitely easier.
It's
to fast
easier,
while sleeping.
but is your body doing what it should be doing?
Don't we burn while we sleep though? Our metabolism is still working while we sleep. If we're doing the right things during the daytime, I'm assuming.
Well, and to that point, your body is going to do what it needs to do while you're asleep regardless. Because even when we're sleeping, we are expending energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't matter if you're doing nothing at all during the day. There's still a certain level of energy that you have to just to maintain, just to live, right?
Yeah.
So who's familiar with or can tell me what a circadian rhythm is? Anybody familiar with that term?
It's
I've
your
heard-
sleep patterns and when you go into deep sleep and based on light and dark.
Right. Okay. So then is it the same for everybody?
Yes, but then people have different work schedules and life schedules. So
Right.
they force it to be off.
Very good. Okay. So then the argument for the circadian rhythm, right there, what circadian rhythm says is that there is a natural sleep and wake for humans, right? That we are not nocturnal, that we're supposed to be awake when the sun is out, and we're supposed to be asleep when the sun is down. Now we know that that's not always the case. I mean, even just with work, let alone with our like our social life, right? So because of our now how society is, it goes against the natural circadian clock, if you will. Um, so then when we do these different things, or we're trying to decide whether or not what times we're supposed to eat and everything, it's tricky because it is, I feel, and there's tons of different things and tons of different people who have different opinions on how this is supposed to be set up, but I feel that it's different for everybody. So earlier, Tiffany mentioned she has 12-hour days. So to me, like with her schedule, well, okay, so actually let me put that out there. So then Tiffany has 12-hour days. Tiffany, how many days a week do you do 12 hours?
It varies. So 1 week I'll work 2 days. I'll work 1 week. I'll work 2 days. Then the following week I'll work 5. So it's like I'll have a short week, and then I'll have a long week.
So you'll have 2 12-hour days and then 5 days off?
Yes. And then the following week I'll have 2 days off, and then I'm working 5 days on.
Straight?
Yes.
Okay, so let me open that up. How should Tiffany be meal prepping?
She should be ordering from a service.
I wish it was that easy.
Not only that, but when should she be eating? Should she change it up when her schedule changes? Or should she keep it consistent throughout no matter what her schedule is?
Keep it consistent.
Consistency is key. I said consistency is key.
So we're saying keep it consistent. Why do we want to keep it consistent?
Because we don't want to throw off our metabolism.
Okay.
And her time is inconsistent, so she needs to be consistent somewhere.
There's no right or wrong answer, by the way.
I'm wondering, Tiffany, are your 12 hours over the graveyard shift, or is it like 7
No.
a.m. to 7 p.m.?
It's 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely keep it consistent.
Yeah, I always eat at the same time, no matter what. Even if I got something going on. Bye, guys. I'm taking 10 minutes to eat. So I try to keep it fit at I eat at 11 every day. Well, that's when I start eating at 11.
And then what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah, do you keep it within a certain window?
Yeah. I eat from 11 to 7. I eat from 11 to 7. In the morning, it's hard for me to eat. I don't have that much of an appetite. Since I cut coffee out now, it took me like almost 2 weeks to get accustomed to that. So now I'm much better. I started drinking tea, but I feel better honestly without it. Feel better. I noticed that, without the coffee. And because I have a sleep schedule too, like, I get enough sleep now, and I've been keeping it consistent, and I eat between the hours of 11 and 7. And I just had my last meal, and yeah, that's it for the day till tomorrow.
Okay. Then when do you work out?
So every week, I work out the 5 days, but I switch my off days. So depending on the time, I don't work out at the same time every day. When I'm off, I like to work out in the morning, from anywhere from 10 to noon, or from 9 to 11. And then or after work, if I have enough energy, I'll go after work. It just depends on the day,
Okay,
how the day schedules. And if I'm tired, I'm like, all right, I'll save it. I'll take that day off and switch my day off to work out.
so then most days you work, most days you work out fasted?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's pretty good. And that works for you?
Yeah.
What do we think about fasted cardio? Did we already talk about that?
No,
No,
I-
we didn't
I-
talk about it.
I like it. It works for me. I hate working out on a full stomach. Feel like I feel sick.
I'd
So-
rather do fasted cardio.
Yeah.
Same for me. I can't work out with anything in my stomach, not even too much water.
Okay. Body wise, how, like, for those of you who have said that the fasted cardio works for you, body wise, how do you feel opposed to you working out after you've eaten?
I feel like I have more energy when I'm fasting, doing cardio. I don't feel sluggish.
Okay.
When I work out after I eat, I wait like an hour, then I work out. I don't feel sluggish, but I don't have the same energy as I would have fasted. Like it's not like I'm so tired, but I'm just trying to get through it,
Okay.
if that makes sense. But I definitely have more energy fasted than when I do eat.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Nurse said you feel less lightheaded. Okay. Okay, anyone else?
I prefer fasted cardio also, but I don't always have that option.
Okay. Okay. Well, does anyone have any questions on the whole sleep deal? We stress it, but I just feel like we don't stress it enough just in society in general. But especially as it relates to weight gain, water retention, like all of these different things that affect us and how it affects all of your hormones, like that really kicks in and can contribute to sometimes when people are like, like when you're talking about the scale's not moving, a lot of that can be contributed to not getting enough sleep. And we're already at the ages, if we're not there already, or we're on our way to where our hormones play a really key part of how our body functions. So the more that you can keep that regulated, the better. And with sleep, and especially since sleep can affect your immune system, which affects everything, if you can at least get that under control, a lot of the hormonal issues that you'll have later, because that, your body will change. So a lot of the hormonal issues that you'll have later won't be so hard to manage.
Phoenix, I'm going through it. In the middle of the night, I'm suffering from like stiff shoulder pains. I'm definitely in the thick of it,
Mm-hmm.
as far as premenopausal symptoms, and it's been a real challenge to even get the proper amount of sleep at night, just based on all the pains that are surfacing middle of the night.
Yeah. have you already had like any sort of test to see where your hormone levels are?
I'm scheduled for testing at the end of this month to see exactly where I'm at, but I'm definitely feeling the changes and they are not fun.
Yeah, no, they're not.
No.
So yeah, and I would encourage that, like, prior to, like, if you're starting to feel like the symptoms of even like premenopause and all of those different things, it does not hurt to kind of, I'm not for or against like HRT, like hormone treatment. So there's that. I'm putting that out there. I personally cannot do HRT because I've had a stroke in the past. So then I can't be put on hormones. So for me, when I think about it, then to me that says, okay, well then there's other ways to regulate it aside from going through actual treatment like HRT. So I say that to say I don't think it's necessary, obviously, otherwise then something would happen to me, right? Or other people who have had cancer and other things who also can't do those types of treatments. But if you can find out how your levels are early, then you can counter the symptoms, right? Like Issa, you're talking about the sleep, people go through the night sweats. I haven't had to go through any of those things yet. But I think I'm just entering like premenopause. So there are a lot of different things. I've already had like joint pain and everything. So it's hard for me to assess it from that point of view. But then that way, like I said, you can combat the symptoms ahead of time. So then later, when maybe other things arise, then you're not trying to do a whole bunch of different things at once. Because then that's when I feel like HRT is more beneficial. Because then it's keeping you up, it's the night sweats, it's all of those different things that are very hard to manage.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to be looking into my options. It's not fun.
Yeah, and your food plays a part in it. Please, like, so look into those different things as well. The doctors do not, well, they rarely suggest anything aside from giving you some sort of medication.
They don't suggest anything.
Oh.
We're like in the back burner.
So then there's that too.
Right.
So there's a lot of research that I feel that you have to do, and that is really scavenging for information because there aren't a lot of studies that have been done in regard to this area.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all up to us to do it.
Anyone else have any sort of feedback or anything on that? Anyone on this call doing HRT?
No, but I do have my hormone testing scheduled for early next month as well. I didn't think my shoulder issues had anything to do with menopause or pre-menopause or whatever. It'll be interesting to find out if it has anything to do with it. But outside of that, no.
That's one of the first symptoms, the shoulder pains.
I've been going through it this last month.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Shoulder pain, hip pain, hand pain. Just joints. And
I just wanted to take the test because, just to see where I was at. I've been interested in doing hormonal testing since pre-COVID when we were doing our last challenge, especially to see like cortisol and all that stuff where that is at. But now there's another reason to have this hormonal testing done.
even migraines, like I started to get migraines out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, expressing what I'm going through. That way you young ladies are aware of what happens to our body.
I think the problem is that there's so many symptoms at this point. Like, I mean, when you research it, because I had to start doing it because I mean, me and all my friends are talking about it. We've been talking about it. And I think it depends on, when you started your cycle, when you start, they say it's 8 to 10 years of this mess. And I've been dealing with some stuff that I've been like, what in the world? And all of a sudden people are like, oh, it's probably perimenopause. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. So I've had friends of mine who've had like the frozen shoulder, the shoulder pain, that kind of stuff. I have not had that. And they always say that the symptoms are different for everybody. I think that's the other part of the problem. It's like the symptoms aren't the same. So I'm at the, the night sweats, I don't want to call it insomnia, but like I'm constantly waking up. I'm at that end of it. I'm at like kind of like the night end of it. And it's just like trying to figure out how to get through it is difficult. So, and it was funny because somebody was like, is that a real thing? Yeah, it's a real thing. Like we're not faking it. And I think that's part of what's wrong with my knee. I don't think there's anything wrong with my knee. I think it's just part of perimenopause. I just think that that's the joint that decided to start. I have no idea.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like, so I tell everybody who's like around 40, 42, I'm like, look, let me tell you what's going to come. They're like, Naomi, really? I'm like, because I don't want you to be surprised because my mom is gone, so she couldn't tell me nothing. So I'm trying to tell my friends. So I understand exactly what you're talking about. I mean, they said stuff, simple stuff, like my ears have been itching for the last like year.
Oh my God. I've had itchy ear for the past 2 months.
Yep. Perimenopause.
Yes.
Itchy ears.
Itchy ears.
Ridiculous.
Crazy.
So perimenopause is like a Cracker Jack box, like
yes.
anything.
They said you can even start having like allergies with perimenopause.
Yes.
It's this.
I also say that's not just in perimenopause though. So everything you're talking about, all menopause, I'm there. The joints, the ears, the throat, everything. It's just so delicious. And it's to the point where it's just like, and also too, I think my mom is 74 and she is still having hot flashes. Okay. And she
No, that's crazy.
has been, she started in her early 40s. My sisters started in their early 40s. I'm apparently a late bloomer. I started in my late 40s, but that is the road that I am on. And I feel like it got worse, or it came quicker, because when my schedule changed, when I switched jobs and I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning every day for 2 years, and it threw my sleep off. Like I was literally getting 3 hours of sleep some days, 4 hours of sleep other days. Like I would try to get, my weekends would be 5 hours, and I would be like, oh my God, yes. That's like 5 hours was tops for me. And I think that just propelled it even more. I get the migraines. My blood pressure went up. Never had blood pressure issues ever in my life. My blood pressure went up, having frequent migraines. Never had migraines in my entire life. The night sweats, the hot flashes, the joints, the shoulder, the hip, all of that. And I tried like different supplements because, there's so many options out there to assist with the hot flashes, to have this. I think I've tried like at least 6 different supplements that's supposed to curb the hot flashes, to help with the cortisol, and none of those worked. I've done intermittent fasting. I've done the 16 hours to 18 hours. And nothing has balanced it out yet. And I just recently spoke to my doctor, and we're talking about HRT. I'm just looking at the different options on how and the combination. And I'll see how it goes in November. But I held out as long as I could with HRT because, there was 50-50 about it, about the pros, the cons, and just like from each individual of how they felt during, after, like I kind of did my own research, right? And I was just like, well, it's 50-50. I'm not sure I want to do it. Let me go like the natural route and see if I can fix things that need to be fixed. And I'm always working on my sleep, but it's hard sometimes, right? It's hard. And I'm trying to make, I'm not at the consistent level. There are days I get 8 hours. There's days I get 6 hours. There are days I got 9 hours. But
We're women. We're not allowed to sleep.
it's the consistency is not there. And I feel that's the hardest thing out of everything. Right. But yeah, that's my route. And it's just like, all right, let me try this HRT and see if that's going to make a difference. But it's difficult as far as schedule wise to try to balance everything.
Well, Sherry, I have some friends who have tried the hormones and they swear by it. They're doing amazing. Like all the discomfort is gone. They're just thriving. So I'm also with you there. I'm gonna see what's my next option because, you know, it's horrible.
Yeah, because you can take it by tablet because the estrogen, progesterone, they can
Mhm.
use cream depending on certain individual. You can use the cream as opposed to taking pill.
Yeah,
There's injection. My doctor's just like, yeah, no, I wouldn't advise the injection. Because each of them has their pros and cons, right? On how it's used.
absolutely.
Depending on if you have uterus, if you don't have uterus, you know,
Hmm.
that's what your ultimate, combo will be. It depends on all of that as well.
Well, Phoenix, first of all, thank you for allowing us to talk about this on this platform because this is very taboo.
It's not talked about.
It's not talked about enough. And I think it's gotten to an age where women are talking about it and more researches are coming up, but it's not, it was something that, you know, we were just crazy. Women are just crazy.
I feel like when the celebrities started talking about it, like Drew Barrymore started
Yeah.
talking about it, Angela Jolie like when they started talking about it is when people was like, oh wow, God. I'm just like, no, this has been going on.
Yeah.
Women have been
Absolutely.
voicing this. And I feel like the celebrities who are starting to go through this are now like pushing it to the forefront. I've seen so many episodes with Halle Berry and all that stuff with,
Drew Barrymore.
vaginal dryness, all that stuff. Like my
Mhm.
doctor's like, oh my God, yeah. I'm like, I really want to know that. Thank you very much. But
Yeah.
she's like, you can just use some coconut oil. I'm like,
Right.
thank you. I'm the crypt keeper now. Okay. But no, they raise a lot of valid information for women too, especially because vaginal dryness can cause like scarring. And she got misdiagnosed for having something else, and it turned out it was vaginal scarring because of and they thought it was just like a disease or whatever, but it wasn't, and she's just like, this is just misinformation that some of the doctors don't even know because they haven't researched this enough to know, like, most of it is not even taught in medical school. It's not taught in medical school. So
Yeah,
But that's what I said. That's what I
myself.
said. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Martine.
I was saying, I heard there was like a 20 or 30-year pause on menopause research and treatment for the last 25 years. I was reading about it. It's like there was a big push in the 80s, and then they kind of just stopped talking about it for years, and now they just restarted talking about different treatments and stuff. And as Sherry said, it was probably because of celebrities.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I mean, you're talking about doctors don't talk about it. I'm like, I said to a couple of my friends, I'm like, you go to the, GYN at least once a year, right? If that's what you're supposed to do. It's not even on the wall anywhere. Like, you go to certain doctors' offices. Like, I go to internal medicine, so like everything's up there. They talk about, heart, diabetes, blah blah blah. You never hear about perimenopause from anywhere. Like even when you're in the doc and they know around the time it kind of starts. I mean, some people start earlier than others, but it's just amazing to me that it's just not even mentioned when you turn 40, 42, 40, you know what I mean? Like they don't even mention it. And I think that's what was so disconcerting to me. And then my doctor was younger than me. So I'm telling her stuff and she's like, oh, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, is it? That's all you got for me? So it you know, and it's not even like I saw Narissa said y'all are scaring me. It's not about scaring you. It's just, I mean, we want you to know, like, we don't want you to think that something's crazy is happening. I mean, because it can make you feel like you're crazy. Like, I used to say, you know, you just think people think you're crazy. And it's like,
This is
I
real.
said, yeah. And I said, all this because estrogen is leaking out of my body? Are you kidding? Like, this is what I got to deal with? Like, this is stupid. You know what I mean? But, you know, hey, I guess we can handle it. I don't know.
Well, the best thing I did, because I have all new doctors, I specifically looked for a GYN that had a specialty in perimenopause and menopause.
Nice.
Okay, so she knows her shit, right? And that's why I specifically chose her, was because she had that experience and that background. She is younger than me, but she knows. She's just like, you know, there's not enough of us doing it, and it should be. But I specifically chose her for that reason.
Well, thank you all for that. Does anyone have any other feedback, questions, comments? We're a little after or over on our time, but
Just to mention, I popped a link in the chat and also in our fitness group messages. That was a webinar that was shared on perimenopause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, well, thank you all for opening up this space for this conversation. We can always talk about this because this is always going to be something that's affecting us. So anytime that we need to bring this up or if anyone has any other information, drop it in the chat, or not the chat, but the group, or maybe we can have another conversation that is just specific to this at a later date. If you have nothing else, I hope you all have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week.